or tomorrow, okay? So this first part is talking about all the different notations of inequalities. And we've seen this before. We talked about this in the first unit. This is just kind of a refresher, whether we use parentheses or brackets for our inequalities, how we graph it on the number line, okay? Remember that the parentheses is the same as an open circle, and the bracket is the same as the closed circle. Your textbook uses the brackets and the parentheses on the graph. A lot of times on the SAT, you're going to see the open and closed circle. So keep in mind, you'll also see open and closed circle on my exam, okay? So make sure you notice the difference and the similarities, okay? The parentheses and the open circle are the same. The closed circle and the brackets are the same. We've got our open intervals where the number is not included. We've got our closed interval where the number is included. And we've got the half. Notice, infinity always gets parentheses. Okay? Infinity always gets parentheses. It's not a number. All right? If we have the greater than or equal to or the less than or equal to, that's when we're going to have a bracket on our inequality. All right, less than, greater than, or infinity, those are parentheses on our brackets. Okay, questions about any of those notations? All right, you need to be aware of what the question's asking for. If it says, give me the solution in interval notation, okay, interval notation, that's this right here, okay? That's my interval notation. That's what I want my answer to look like. If it asks for an inequality, the solution as an inequality, that's this little thing, or this little thing, or this, or this, or this, or this, without the brackets, okay, without the curly Q brackets. Okay, that's the inequality. And then the graph is clearly the graph. All right? So you need to make sure that you know the difference between those three forms of the answer. All right? Inequality, again, expressions are not equal. Okay? Greater than, less than, greater than or equal to, less than or equal to. All right? Solving it is exactly the same way as an equation. Add and subtract from both sides. Multiply and divide from both sides. Get your variable by itself in order to get your solution. Okay? So this is an equation. Real simple. One step. Give me the number. Just the number. What k equals if k minus 1 equals, k minus 5 equals 1. Just the number. Yes. And close the app and reload it. Okay? How did I get 6?
Added 5 to both sides.
Add 5 to both sides. Same exact. It's a really bad 5. Same exact thing. Add 5 to both sides. The only difference is I have a greater than sign instead of an equal sign. It's the only difference. Okay? Add 5 to both sides. Now instead of k equaling 6, k is all values of x greater than 5. Okay? So what numbers could k be?
Anything like 7, 6.
Anything bigger than 5. Okay? So that's my inequality. Inequality. Okay? As long as k is a number bigger than 5, 5.1, 6, 7, 362, then it is a solution to this inequality. It's a solution to the statement. Okay? The interval, if I could spell, interval. Okay? The interval is going to tell me what is my range of numbers. So what's the smallest possible number that could be in my solution set? 5. Okay? But I have to indicate that it's all numbers up to 5, not including 5. So what goes in front of it? Not a bracket. Parentheses. Say, it's going all the way up to 5, but it's not 5. It could be 5.0000000000001. Okay? Or even closer. All right? As close to 5 as possible. What's the largest possible number in that set? Infinity. Okay, it goes forever. And infinity always gets parentheses. All right? Graph. My critical value is 5. It's the only one I need. What type of circle am I going to use? Open. Which way am I going to shade?
Right.
To the right. Okay? Your textbook will use the parentheses. Same thing. Okay? Textbook will use parentheses. All right? Inequality, interval, graph. Inequality, interval, graph. Interval, graph. Inequality. Graph, interval. We good? Okay. Questions? All right? Same thing now, just 2 steps. Solve this equation. Solve this equation. Oops, I don't know why I put a 4. Or plus. What am I doing? Minus 3. No B. 3. And minus 4x. On both sides. Get our variable together. Get our coefficients together. Or constants together. So x is greater than or equal to -4. Okay? Same steps with the inequalities with the equation. Get your variables on one side by adding or subtracting. Move your constants to the other side by adding or subtracting. There's no coefficient, so I don't have to do any multiplication or division. So I'm done after the addition step. All right? Now, what's my interval going to be? X is greater than or equal to -4. Yep. Okay. And why am I using the bracket this time? The or equal to.
So, question.
Yeah.
Do I have to start with -4?
Yes. You start with the lowest number.
If
So, yeah. Go
I
ahead.
was gonna say if the greater than sign were to be like flip 4 is greater than x, would it be negative infinity?
Yeah. So, alternate universe. If we had -4 is greater than x. Okay. Now, that's a different problem. If you got -4 is greater than x, you messed up somewhere. Okay. You had a negative coefficient you forgot to divide, and then there's something we have to do with that. Okay. But if I had this as an answer to a different question, then this is the same as x being less than or equal to -4, which means my lowest value is negative infinity, and my largest value is -4. Okay. Now, if you got this, you'll see the mistake that you made coming up in just a minute. Okay. It had to do with if you move the 5 over to the other side, it changed our solution a little bit. Okay. What about my graph? Closed circle. Closed circle at -4 to the right again, because it's going to infinity.
Wait, so that sign has nothing to do?
This one I flipped the sign. This one I did not.
Oh, okay.
Okay. This one would be to the left. That one would be to the left on the right. But our original problem is still to the right. Okay. All right. Now, multiplication has an additional rule. If my coefficient is negative, like you may have done on the last problem, if you subtracted 5x, you ended up with -x. Okay? If your coefficient is negative, when you do that multiplication or division, you then have to flip your inequality sign. Okay? You have to flip it the other direction. Okay, so whatever value we're multiplying or dividing by, okay, if it's negative, we then have to flip the inequality after we do that division or multiplication. Okay, so go ahead and graph m is greater than or equal to, 4m is greater than or equal to negative 100. Solve and graph it. Okay, get m by itself. Or m. I'm going to separate the 4 from the m.
Can we just put it anywhere? Like
As long as you label where that point is. I only need one number on that line. So label what it is. Okay. Just letting you know now. You're welcome. Whew. All over the place. That one's good, though. Okay. Less than or equal to negative 25. Shading to the left. When we look at this, how do I get m by itself? Divide by 4. Okay. So m is less than or equal to negative 25. Was this negative? No. So I don't have to flip anything. Leave it alone. I don't care that the 100 is negative. It does not matter what the constant is. Only the coefficient. Okay? So since the 4 was positive, there is no change on the inequality sign. None at all. Stays just like that. What's my interval? Other way. M is less than negative infinity. Negative 25 with the bracket.
So this is the larger number is first.
The lowest value in the solution set. And since m is less than negative 25, and it's all numbers over here, the lowest possible number that I can get is negative infinity. It's all the way up to negative 25. Okay? Inequality, interval, graph. Alright? So what am I going to do here? The 9 was negative, so we flipped the inequality. Alright? And here's how we can check. Okay? It's real simple to check. Let's look at our number line. Okay? And I say, alright, it should be all values greater than 9. Right? So my inequality says it should be all values greater than 9. Give me a number bigger than 9. Okay? Let's take 10 and plug it into our original equation. And it's important that we pick not the number. Okay? Not our critical value, but one that's in the solution set beyond it. greater than or less than it. Okay? So I pick 10. If 10 is in my solution set, it should make this statement true. Is negative 90 less than negative 81? Yes. So I know it's good. So if you're ever doubting, do I flip it? Do I not? Pick a number that you think should be in your solution set that's not your critical value, plug it back in, and see if the statement is true. Yeah.
So if you multiply or divide by negative, it flips?
Yes.
Okay.
All right. So you can always plug in something from your solution set and make sure it gives you a true statement. Now, these are the same steps when we're solving a linear equation. Cancel out fractions if we can, okay, by multiplying by the LCM. Distributive property gets rid of parentheses. Get your variables to the same side by using addition or subtraction. Move your constants to the other side by using addition and subtraction. Divide by your coefficient to get your variable isolated. And then just check, did I divide or multiply by a negative? If so, flip your inequality. Okay? Do I have any fractions to get rid of? Do I have any distributed property? Yeah. What am I going to distribute? Okay, 6 gets distributed to what? Good. 6x minus 6 plus 3x greater than or equal to negative x minus 3x minus 6. All right? Now what? We'll get there. I like to combine x's first. Just make it a little bit, combining like terms, just make it a little bit easier. So 9x minus 6 and negative 4x minus 6. Great. Okay, so we're going to add 6. We're also going to add 4x, right? Because we want our variables to be together and we want our coefficients or constants to be together. So that will cancel those out. So 13x is greater than or equal to what? 0, because that cancels too. All right. Now what? No, I'm not done yet.
How do you divide by 13?
Divide by 13. Now 0 divided by 13 is what? 0. Okay, but you still have to do that step. Divide by 13, I still get 0. All right? And that's fine. It's really important that you still remember that because, well, what if I had a negative 13? Then I had equality. Okay, so you still need to make sure that you follow through all of those steps. Okay, so what's my interval? What's the lowest number?
0.
If x is greater than or equal to 0.
So brackets 0 and then
Apparently that did not. 0, infinity. What type of circle on my graph? Closed, shading which direction?
graph.
Okay, interval, graph, inequality. All three there. Do I have any fractions to get rid of? How? Okay, what's my LCD? Not 12. Not 8. 4. Those will work. You'll just have to simplify more later. That's it. Okay? So, our least common denominator is 4. So we're going to multiply everything by 4. Well, 4 times 1/4 is what? 1. So that cancels. M plus 3. 4 times 2. Good. Less than or equal to. 4 times 3/4. M plus 8. Okay? So now our fractions are gone. I'm just left with integers. Okay? There's nothing here to distribute, so go ahead and drop your parentheses and combine your like terms. Distribute here. Okay, next. Subtract by how much?
11 by both sides.
Say that again. Okay. It's not an equal sign.
Oh, sorry.
Y greater than?
Because we divided by
We divide by negative. Okay. Did anyone look at this and say, let's subtract the 1? Anybody? Subtract that. You can. Either way, you're going to get the same answer. Okay? So it's just being careful about if you end up with the negative or not. Just being careful about where the negative is. If you have to flip your inequality. So m is greater than or equal to negative 13/2. So what's my interval?
Parentheses.
Bracket.
Negative 13/2.
Negative 13 over 2 infinity. On the number line, would I use an open or a closed circle? Closed. Would I shade to the left or the right? Right. Okay. Now, 2-part inequalities. Actually, sorry, 3-part inequalities. Okay. So, 3-part inequalities usually tell me I have something between. Okay. So instead of going off into infinity, it's between 2 numbers. We also have inequalities that will go both directions and leave a gap in the middle. Just kind of depends. It's not going to be with this because we have this clear between value. Right? So you can look at this as 2 separate inequalities. You can look at this as 3 is less than x plus 2 and as x plus 2 is less than 8. Okay? As 2 separate inequalities. So if I look at just the 3 is less than x plus 2, just this one on the left, what would I do to get x by itself?
Subtract 2.
I would subtract 2. What about the one on the right? I would do the same thing, right? So I can take this, 3 is less than x plus 2 is less than 8, and apply that same logic. What do I do to get x by itself? Well, I need to remove that 2. I need to subtract 2. But instead of doing it from, quote unquote, both sides, we're going to do it from all 3 parts. Okay, not just on one side, all 3 parts. Okay, that's the only way that we can keep that equal. So it's okay, how do I get my x by itself here? All 3 parts. So I get 1 is less than x is less than 6, which means that x is between 1 and 6. X is between 1 and 6. So we look at a number line. 1 and 6. Open circles, because I have the less than and the greater than. No equal to. Okay? And I'm going to shade the middle. Because x has to be greater than 1. That's over here. And x has to be less than 6, which is over here. And it's only the part in the middle. Because it has to satisfy both of those. Okay? Whatever value I pick has to satisfy both parts of the inequality. So any number between 1 and 6 will do it. Anything outside of that range will satisfy one but not the other. Interval. What do we think the interval is going to be?
1.
Parentheses on both of them because they're both open circles. One of them was closed, then I have a bracket on that one. Okay? So, interval, graph, inequality. Alright, one more. This will be the last one we do today. Okay? So, same steps, but now I have to do 2 of them instead of just 1. Okay? So, what's the first thing I need to get away from the x? 4. Always undo your addition subtraction first. Okay? So what am I going to do to all 3 parts? Add 4. Cancel that out. 9 is less than 3x is less than 13. I've been practicing multiple times a day. All right, last thing. All three parts. Divide. You jinxed me. Look at that.
I'm sorry.
Divide.
Yes, sir. That's the best thing he's had all year.
3 is less than. See, now I'm self-conscious. Okay, leave it as a fraction. If you write it as a decimal, it's going to be repeating, so you can't write it as a decimal. 13 thirds. Okay, interval 3. God, they're like cursing me with all these 3s. Parentheses, because it's not or equal to. All right, and then number line would be the same thing from 3 to 13 thirds with open circles, shading in the middle. Thank you. That's where we're going to stop with this today. Any questions on that so far? You may.